Okay, so what I was just showing most of the students is Van Gogh. We were talking a little bit about Impressionist painters, about how they use the opposite areas of the color wheel, which means they're using yellows and purples against each other. They're just basically warming cools. They could also have an orange and a blue. This is very typical for Van Gogh. And sometimes the Impressionist painters are adding white to it, which makes it a tint and a color. So they're just using those colors, opposite areas on the color wheel, and adding white to it. The way that you can find a background color if you're having trouble with your colors and choosing a background color is basically if you combine the two main colors that you have on your pictorial, whatever you're looking at here, whether it's your picture or your landscape. Say, for an example, the two main colors happen to be like a red and a green. You might combine red and green and then add white to it, and that could be your background color. Or if you had a main colors blue and orange, you would add blue and orange, that'd be a brown, and then you'd add white to it, and you'd have an interesting background color. But those colors are not contrasting. The other thing that I was showing students is how to look at a regular painting, and I'll put it close so you can see it. And you can see all these little different types of blues, cobalt and ultramarine. And I said, if you do a sketch like this, you'll know exactly what strokes to use in the painting. And you'll know that those negative spaces, for example, the dark stroke here would be a dark cobalt blue, and that white negative space in between could be a lighter blue like that. And in my class, I showed you tons of examples of how to do those kind of paintings. The next thing that we're going to do is we're going to look at just a regular painting, and I'm going to show you today how to set up that painting with the colors. And your palette has to be cohesive. So we're going to start with one color, and we're going to keep adding another color to it. You always start with the main color. In this situation, we're going to use a blue, then we're going to add green, then we're going to add gray, and we're going to keep this palette so we have this picture without making each color separate. And that's what we're going to do right now, fast. Okay, so here's my big board. This works. And that's okay, I'll do it like this maybe. Let's see. It's just for the TV people, so they, oh my God, so they can see. Okay. So now let's get started. Remember, you're going to use your palette. You're going to tape it down. So my palette here, I'm just going to tape it down, shiny side up. Now, we're going to look at the main color, and we're going to go for blue. If you have a cobalt blue, that's good. If you don't, you can use a dark ultramarine, and then you can add white to it. It's basically up to you. I have my new demo paints today. And we're just going to do fast mixing, and I'm doing it mostly with the dark colors. When I mix colors, I like to do it with the dark colors because I have an option to make them lighter or medium tone. I can think more about the light and the shade, whereas when I don't have that, I don't have those options, and I'm using red. I have on, you can use a vermilion red if you want. The Napa Crimson is better if you have it at home. For some of you, it might be a brilliant red. Just make sure that it's the color of a fire engine and it's very bright, okay? So now I have these colors here. I have my blues. I'm going to have my phthalo greens. I just need white and black, and I'm going to move along very fast. So I'm going to ask the students, if you want to come closer, you can. If you don't want to be on camera, don't stand behind me. Stand in front of me. And I'm going to do the mixing up here so you can see it. Okay. If this was an info commercial, I would already have these pre-peeled. But you can tell, I just have these new paints that I just bought for you. Okay, so bristle brush, dipping it in my water, and I'm gonna start right now. The main color we all decided was gonna be blue, so I'm gonna put blue here. This is not a canvas, so I'm doing it real fast. I have my ultramarine blue, that's my main color. I'm gonna just show you, I'm gonna move the blue here, and then what I'm going to do is I'm gonna add green to the blue. So now I have this blue-green. I'm gonna take this blue-green and I'm gonna move it over here. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to add white to it. And I have this blue, green, and white. Okay, and then I want to hold my brush and I want to kind of look. You see, I'm trying to compare this to the color here. And I'm saying, is this too green? Is this too blue? That's what I'm picking up. And this you're going to be doing on your wax paper. And you see I'm mixing little bits of blue into it. You'll be doing it with a palette knife. I'm doing it with the brush so you can see better. And you want to keep holding this up till you see this color. You say, no, it needs a little bit more white. And this is how I mix super fast and I get the colors that I need for here. Now I'm going to take this color and I'm going to move it over here. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to add more green to it. I'm just adding more green. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to add white. Okay? I'm going to keep. Now I'm going to look at that green, and what I want you to do is get in the habit of keep trying to make the color here, and then say, once I made the color that I want, and I'm doing the bright colors for this, right, and the ones that are mixed with white, which means it's going to have a tint. So for the people that are like really bright Van Gogh colors, you'll like these colors. These are more of a contrast than that. They're a little bit more exciting. And for those of you that like the darker colors, without the tint, you'll do this. So, okay, so my light color is just going to be yellow. And I'm going to add that yellow before it dries. I'm just going to move it up here. And you see the brightness of now, how all of these colors really make a nice contrast and they relate to each other. And now I'm going to move that over here and I'm just going to add some white. And I'm going to add more white. And then even more white. And then the last blotch, let's move it over here so you can really see the contrast. I'm going to add lots of yellow. And then I'm going to add lots of white. Okay? So these are all of these colors, believe it or not, brightened. You know, real bright. Now let's do them the realistic color, okay, as this. So you can have both ways to know how to do it. As the impressionists that are a little bit lighter and the ones that are more realistic. Let's start again with the blue. I'm going to start with the, oh shoot. Let's start again with the blue. And what I'm going to do is to that blue, I'm going to add some white. And then I'm going to add some more white. A little bit more. Okay, and that's the lightest blue. Okay, perfect. Then I'm going to move that over here. And then I want to get to this green. So I'm going to add my dark green here. I'm going to lighten it again with more white. And then I'm going to add a spot of this black. I'm going to keep adding it. I really want to make it dark. Once I have that color that I want for down here, I'm going to move it here and I'm going to add some more white to it. And a little bit more black. And what I'm doing is I'm just looking of how to match these colors that I have below. So I have this kind of grayish color here. It's a gray blue, okay? Then I'm going to move this here And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to add some green to it. Lots of yellow. And I'm going to add some more white. And it's playing with the colors, just watching what they do. I'm going to add more white. And this white is important because it has a black base, right? It has black in here, yellow and green. And we're moving to that green. Let's add a little bit more black. We want to make sure, okay? Then once we have that green, we're going to move it here, and we're going to add tons of yellow. Then we're going to add a little bit more black. Then we're going to move it here, and then we're going to add some white. Okay, and then we're going to add lots of yellow. It's the last step here, almost. And we have this grayish kind of blue-yellow. So we have all of these colors in here. Now we need to get to these browns over here. So I'm going to keep this. I'm going to move it over here, and I'm going to add a spot of red. I'm going to mix it really well. We're getting these back here, these tan colors. And then I'm just going to add a lot of white. And I'll move the camera up close so you can see it's the exact color that we're looking for. So we have all these colors. So this brown, believe it or not, has green in it, right? It has blue. It has this bright color. In other words, I don't want you to be painting just step by step. I want you to be able to see all of, this color here, that color here, this dark shadow here should have this. You see how this is underneath? This has brown too. This is like a bluish brown underneath. So in TV land, let's move it up close just so you can see. So here are the colors, and here are the matching colors. We started with one, and then we just kept adding more of the colors. So you can see that all of these colors relate to each other. The last thing that we were talking about is the stroke, right? And using these separate strokes. So I'll show you something. Say, for an example, I choose this as my stroke, I don't know, for the sky. It's a fiery sky. Then in between, maybe I had a little bit of orange. That orange would go in that in-between stroke. You see? Okay? So it's kind of like when I was showing you in the book here, where we have these lines, and we would be choosing different strokes in between different colors. Okay? So try that at home. Try definitely to make your palette really interesting. So one last thing, if I was using these colors, what would be a good contrast for these colors? I could have reds. I'll show you something. What if I had, what if I had this, look at this orange. See how that pops? Right, it's an orangey red. And if I wanted to tone it down, right, I could add a little bit of white in there, and then it works, good with those colors because it's pinkish, but look how this pops now, right? And this is not just, remember, a blue, right? This is blue, gray, white, and green. So it's very interesting. So now you want to get to the point when you're painting where you're thinking about, oh, look how this contrasts this color. Another color that will work well, let's do it real fast. Do I have it here? Yes. Would be a purple. So we'll do that last and move on. If anybody wants to be my helper, when I do videos online, to have my paints kind of peeled ahead of time. Anyway, so we're going to put this purple here, and the purple is going to be the contrast. And what would be a contrasting color also for the purple then? What other colors would contrast the purple? Yeah, we could have a green, excellent. Or we could have like we could have a yellow, right? A yellow would really make it pop. Okay, just trust me, I can't get this open. Glad this is not PBS. Okay, so I'm gonna stop the video now and you can try it on your own at home. Okay, ciao.